Hi YouTube. I haven't uploaded this yet, but I will after I'm done. I was trying to create an account, but couldn't navigate, but I'll get around to that. I was hesitant to put a channel on here before because, or a video, because, excuse me, I just didn't think I was able to talk about this in a real rational, calm, unbelligerent way. And also just trying to get me mentally and physically in shape to where I even was able to even look like I was making some kind of progress. I've sought online therapist, which is relatively cheap in comparison. Dr. Carmen Bryant, who's a blessing on the channel. She's real down to earth. She recommended um, a link to some help, BetterHelp, I believe it is. Anyway, you can do video conferences with the counselor, and it's just a wonderful thing in the comfort of your own home. So even before COVID-19, I think these things were accessible. But back to my bigger point of putting the video on. I'm about 30 days into the termination of my job I had for about 7 months. And I always believed that she diabolically sabotaged it. And I try to think about how she did it, but you don't really want to go into that. If you know enough about these channels that people are educating us about, there's not so much how because they study you. And it was times I'd come home and I'd be like, this job is very good. It's a good job. It's a nice job, not that hard. But I just find a few of the people there are just so ungrateful and no gratitude. And just to speak in the confidence of your own home, to your significant other, just lightheartedly about some things that you believe could be better at the job. And you don't suspect this person that you confide in with, just this kind of delicate information with, even if the relationship went bad, would turn around and just go out and, as they say, smear smear your name with it. Pretty confident person though, and I think I got a high energy, and that was probably what attracted her to me. And I met her at a church. At church, I was going to church with my twins, and raising them in my home of 10 years I've been renting, and gone through a few other relationships of similar magnitude, but never understood what it was. Now that I have a name and a face to it, it just makes me think, man, I thought I knew, uh, along with just reading about some psychology, because I love to read. When something doesn't make sense, I always inquire about it, and I think that's paid me homage along the way, and I haven't went stir crazy or haven't been put in a psych ward, because I always want to know why somebody does what they do. And I was sitting in my car one day, frustrated after a long period of time of just maybe 4 to 6 months of just things this individual began to do that just didn't make sense. And to go in detail about it, that's a whole nother video or two or three. But I began to just speak on it generally about certain things. Like she would just deflect it. I'm knowing that that's what it is, and I knew that's what it was from a former psychology reading, that deflect, just to like make the conversation go away, and it infuriated me in a small way, but it escalated. I believe my infuriation became great and great and great over time, to the point where it just seems like they were just doing deliberate things to make you pissed off. And so I begin to just speak on it, and obviously that causes a lot of anger and resentment. So I believe I was discarded probably long before I actually happened upon narcissism. And how did I happen upon that? Back to what I said, I was in the car frustrated, and I Googled what makes a person not show true remorse. And I like to tell some people that I've confided in, it lit up like a Christmas tree. Uh, Not so much right there in your face. I strolled down and then it illuminated narcissism. And I had never heard of it in the way that I saw it then. And when I saw it, I just began to read. And from that day forth, I started just YouTubing some people that were talking about it. And based on what they were saying, it was not even 5 minutes into the conversation that they were having with the audience that I realized, oh my God, I've been duped. I've been duped. And you're talking about a Christian man here that didn't do all the right things regarding, shouldn't have slept with her before we got married. Tried as I may to abstain, and she portrayed herself as wanting to abstain, which I now know is they're insatiable. It's the reverse psychology of everything. So it's time she want me to stay at her house. And mind you, I haven't been hoovered yet. I have noticed her lurking around the corner on one occasion shortly after she left, and I'll get into that. Because after my no contact for 3 whole weeks, I went silent. And I'm a very talkative person. Still, now I look at that as the greatest asset that you can obtain from listening to this. Embrace and absorb what these people are saying about the no contact. Shut it down, like Dave would say, and that really does wonders, because with the newfound education that you have, or knowledge, it makes it easier to do it, because it's almost like living among the enemy, and one wrong move, as far as letting them know what you know about this, could foil the discretion, and you have an advantage of knowing. And in the 3 weeks I went no contact, silent, dead silent, she never asked me once, why are you not talking? So I believe she discarded me mentally and emotionally and sexually, for that matter, way before I actually went no contact. And it was nights I'd get off of work at midnight, 3 p.m. to midnight, and I would actually get like eerie in my stomach and didn't even want to come home. And I have my children all week and alternate weekends, and sometimes, uh, you know, when I was at work, she was playing manipulative, emotional, psychological games on them. I now know from some of the things that they have told me. And I've let them view a little bit of this stuff too, to some degree, not on a great, strong degree, because they are still little kids. They're like 10, but they're very intuitive, very sharp. And because of what they've gone through, I needed them to hear some of it, so they could understand that you're not losing your mind, you didn't do anything wrong. So anyway, I know I'm all over the place, but I guess you're gonna understand some of this either way. 30 days been terminated. I believe she's doing a smear campaign, this, that, and the other. But in the 3 weeks that I went no contact, I think it was almost not even a week, maybe 3 or 4 days. Once I started pounding in out the hours and hours of YouTube videos and listening, I did what I know I wasn't supposed to do, which was I reached out to her brother, and I confided in him via allowing him to listen to a YouTube video of about 10 minutes. And I think that was the little shaman. She's very insightful, cuts right through the chase from a psychological standpoint, and makes it make so much sense, even though it's really hard to digest that a human being can be this way. So I basically couldn't tell him what I discovered. I just asked him if I could come to his house, and we sat in the car, and I put it on the AV audio inside of the car, and I allowed my children to go inside of his house to play for a little while. And it was really kind of unnerving to do this, but my strategy, if you will, really wasn't a strategy. I think it was out of the empath position, having the empathy I had. I knew that I wasn't supposed to because it could have dire effects, but I went against that. And I said, my theory was if I tell him, worst case scenario, he'll tell her and she'll end up leaving, which I'd already asked her to leave maybe even a month or two into the relationship. I mean, into before I went no contact, but she just never would. And she only lives, wow, she only lives maybe not even 1 minute away from me, just down the street. So the worst is not over. I gotta go through divorce court when this pandemic is over. I need to file divorce proceedings, and I don't know if she'll try to drag it on. My guess is she will, because she knows that's something that I really, really want to release myself from any and every uh, kind of affiliation with her. So back to what I'm saying. I shared the video with him, and we were in the car, and I just allowed the video to play. And afterwards, he had his head down, and he was shaking his head. So, what do you think? What are you saying? She has this, and I knew that was just him fishing for me to put my trademark on it. And I said to him, my reply to him was, I'm not saying she has this. They're saying she has this. I'm saying based on that behavior that uh, he just talked about, yeah, it's undeniable. And I say I would really stand behind that. I would put my faith on it. And that was probably a big thing to say, but you live with this person. I went for objective and subjective thinking on this. I tried to denounce some of the patterns as much as I could within my capacity to do so, and I just was not able to denounce any of it. Um, I don't know how long went by, how much time transpired before he reached out and he told her. But I went to take my kids to a movie one night outside of the general area, and I got a phone call about 15 minutes into the movie. I essentially missed the whole movie because I took the call out in the hallway, of which I began to get loud, and it was very few people in the movie theater at this time. Just was a random stop in. It wasn't like everybody's just like hustling, bustling and get there. I don't do movies as much. But anyway, I went away from the theater to try to have a private call. He began to just dote on money. Why don't you give her X amount of dollars that you owe her, and the money my mom gave you, I think it was $200-300 she gave us in order to get counseling, because at some point in the relationship I attributed some of her behavior to depression. And this has been like a repetitive thing I've gotten into with females. They go under the disguise of depression, and mind you, there's people that really are clinical depressed, but I didn't know there was underlying things or overlining things that were much greater than depression. The only reason why she was depressed is because her supply level was low at the times when they were low. But it's the constant battle of the voices going on in her head that would make anybody depressed. When you want to turn a radio off and you turn the power off and it's still playing, can't imagine. But the torment that these people inflict on other people, even being an empath, you really sort of sometimes don't even want to feel sorry for them. And feeling sorry for somebody, by the way, is that's sympathy. And sometimes sympathy doesn't cause us to do what is best for us and the people that are causing us the problem. We coddle them, almost like the narcissist might have been coddled. But anyway, after that, a few minutes went by, and he was calm about it and everything. He's like, and then he began to say, hey, he said, you just need to take a pill, because I guess he had went to at some point and got psychologist to prescribe a pill for him, and he dotes on how good he feels, and he was in a point where he just didn't want to get out of bed. And so the pill actually is made him feel, or giving him the impression that he's a lot better. So anyway, that's between him and God. I don't know how much better he is. I don't live with him. He's a decent guy. But this just brought out the worst of his attitude. And he didn't go hard, because he's generally a nice, mellow guy. So he was like, you need some help. You need to, while you're diagnosing her, you need to probably get somewhere and diagnose yourself. So this was known to be the fact that I know he was going to do this. And that's a chance I was willing to take, because I said, listen, I said, what I'd like for you to do is, if you care about your sister and you love her, because this is nothing that I'm even interested in helping her do based on what I know about this. I'm collateral damage here. I said, why don't you kind of like convince or connive her or persuade, whatever word I'm trying to find, fool her into thinking you want to go somewhere with her for depression as a result of maybe what she's gone through with me, or with her past husband, and different things like that. And hopefully, if she gets into counseling, they may be in fact able to, unpile some of this stuff that's in her life. And I don't think he was having any of it. He basically just kind of shut down in so many ways, because it's just like you're being told that your sister is certified not there. She's a user and a manipulator. Everything from the marriage to the whole dating process was a lie. She's wearing a mask. She's portraying herself to be a magician. She's doing all kind of tricks. And by the way, she I also told him, I said, she's a chronic, insatiable sex addict. She very possibly is slept with one or two men, multiple men, since we were together, from the day I met her and even before I met her. And I said, just listen to these people. Not all of them are that way, but based on the fact that she was always glued to YouTube or Facebook and this and that. When I first met her, she would rarely look at her phone, or so it seemed. Bought her 2 phones, whatever, and just constantly, and would always act like she was playing a game on it. I think she was. The game was me. And so a few minutes elapsed, and I went in and got the kids. Anyway, it wasn't no disgruntled situation, but he did give me a little strong attitude. And I was still just adamant about saying, man, this is really hard for me to have done, but I'm really glad I did it. I don't really have any apologies for it, because even after the fact of me discovering this and knowing that I have to get her out of my life, I really felt like I needed to tell you this, so my conscience is clear with everything. And I went to her mom and told her mom, which she's foreign, and the language barrier and the comprehension is very very difficult there, but she generally understood what I was saying. I just used words like she's really bad, most of which seeing her grow up, she was different. I say she's really bad. She tried to hurt me in my life. She came into my life just to hurt me. She don't love me, and just tried to make her understand that I had to just stop coming around, that I loved her very much, but she won't see me again, because in order to come around to see her, that would mean I would have to be some way, shape, or form involved with this individual. And so I was afforded an opportunity to do that, and I gave her a hug. And also, she has this wife, present wife I'm talking about, she has an autistic son. He's high functioning autistic. And I saw him grow from an adolescent, rebellious, angry young teenager when I met him. He's 16, 17 now, I think. He was 15 when I met him, and he was just angry. He was putting her against a wall and putting her in chokeholds. And just luckily, I had the key to her house. She had given me a key shortly after we started dating. these are just things you just shouldn't do with people anyway. You don't get a key to their house, especially if you got biblical principles you're trying to live by. That's another story in itself. So I'm not really mad at her so much, just my own decision making that brought me here. And I'm just thankful for the knowledge. But if it had not been for me having the key to go into that house on my own accord, I don't know what would have happened to her that day. He had her when I walked up the stairs, and by the way, I had my twins with me, which were always with me most often. So they were able to just witness some of this stuff over the course of time. But we went upstairs and I heard some bumping against the wall, and I walked in and I noticed that he had her against the corner of the wall and like almost in a chokehold. And I don't know if he would have killed her or not, but I know now that she caused him to rage very bad. Caused him to rage a lot. And I intervened and I looked him in the eye and I said, don't you ever put your hands on your mom again. If you do, there will be a problem. I said some other stuff, but anyway, I just said it very direct. And being autistic, I believe some way or shape he got it, but he just was very angry. I didn't understand why. She had tons of pictures of her taking him all over the place from the time he was born to 15, 16. I said, what happened? Just all of a sudden one day he just woke up and he said, I don't know. He's just angry kids. All teenagers go through this. He said, you're going to go through it too. And I said, okay. I said, but I ain't buying into that. I said, it's all about the way you raise your child. Your child should never get to a point where they can overthrow your rule in the house. Something happened. And not knowing that she inflicts this anger by way of her own lack of supply. It's like a little kid. When she's not having a happy day, nobody's having a happy day. And so that little point of the kid, just so everybody knows, that hurts me more than anything, that I had caused him to just behave like a young man, taught him principles and morals, how to talk and walk, the false bravado he had, false facade he had, what it really means to be a young man, not to walk around swearing and talking trash to your mom and disrespectful, jumping out of the car before the car stops, running ahead of us, not walking with your family. And I understand a little bit more about autism too. So he was just a joy to actually try to help grow up as a young man. And also he taught me some stuff about autism. So I'm grateful for that. And if I could, I would like to get him out of that situation. I now know that the husband before me has gotten out there on drugs, and he's been in trouble quite a few times. I will always believe that she was a direct influence to maybe not him just drinking and probably smoking a little weed, recreational, but ultimately going out in the street and getting hooked on very elusive and severe drugs such as cocaine and whatever. I don't know exactly what he's using out there. I don't want to speculate, but from what she told me, he's on some real intense drugs. Me and him never had words with each other, and that's something I would like to employ each and every man listening to this, or even women. If you meet someone and they're telling you a lot of negative stuff about the exes, and I had my share of negative stuff that I told her about the exes, most of them, and in detail, just specifics. And when they just generalize and they don't really give you specifics and they don't really seem like they connected to the conversation, that's a telltale. And even if they are connected to the conversation, that's not your fight. You empathize and you go on to be with that person if you choose. But I think when you see that person that they've talked about, I made eyes with him a couple times and I kind of had a poker face, but I didn't have this natural born killer type, whatever. I didn't have this very insatiable rage in me to I can't stand you. Just kind of was just very mellow, even empathizing that, he was going through something and that didn't work out. I never like to see relationships not work out, but it didn't. So I went to court with her a couple of times. I'm sitting in there in the back. Everybody's back is to me, and they're in front of me. So I'm just as moral support, not knowing that this girl was in court actually trying to just hang the carrot and wave the carrot, vindictive, waving the carrot at him and causing him to have to do these visits, supervised visits, and just overt stuff in order to see the kid. And he would call after the visits on the phone to the house, to us, the father would, and she would insist on the kid putting it on speakerphone. She needed to hear every iota of the conversation, to the point where I was attuned to it a few times, and I had so much to do in and around the house. I couldn't sit there and just, observe this conversation that he's having with his son, nor did I want to. And so even during them times, I started to see that, she was really subtly but consistently trying to go hard and wanted to be in control of every dynamic of what was going on in this conversation with this man and his son. And as a father, I just didn't feel like it was necessary. He wasn't being harmed. And if he didn't, if he moved the phone or he got up to go and sit on the couch across the living room on the other side, she would beckon for him to sit back down. And it just was a little unnerving. So these little things here, just kind of like all flags. But she was quiet, very quiet, and that played into her strength, because she could sit in a room for 2 hours and really not even talk. But she would have her head down looking at her phone. That's another sign, guys. And I know a lot of us, we always constantly on our phone. Even when we out at the park, we get out of the car, we're going for a walk at the park, we automatically grab the phone and pretend to be pecking at something. We need to either see if anybody's talking to us, or did we miss a text, or do I need to reply? Just feel like we always feel like there's loose ends that need to be tied up. I don't really have that problem. I like my phone for the fact that I don't watch television. This is my television. This is my avenue towards information of my own choosing. I think I can control the information that I have, that I get. I'm at 27 minutes. I really just didn't want to talk but like 15 minutes. And I knew I would talk longer. I'm thinking 30 minutes, I'll shut this down, which is 3 minutes from now. Don't really know if this is going to make any sense, but I want you guys to know I'm about 30 days into the termination of my job. IRS sent the stimulus checks, which was direct deposit. She moved out 2 weeks prior to them coming, and unfortunately $2,200 was directly deposited into her account. I went on to file unemployment and got a letter the other day that informed me that I don't meet the criteria. So since April 15th is when I got terminated effectively, I haven't received any additional income other than my last check. So other than about $80 in my pocket, I'm very resourceful as to keeping some money in my pocket. It doesn't take a lot for me. I don't have any vices. I get a little bit of public assistance, for as food go, but no money. That's not my biggest concern. For what I've gained, what I've lost is nothing in comparison. And this is not the first time that I've had to start over and rebuild. There are people that are going through way more than I am. I've listened to some stories of 20, 30-year marriages, some people that are still into the situation. But she left the last 3 days of the 3 weeks, no contact, which is my conclusion to this video. I came home one Saturday because I would never leave the kids with her during the week anymore when I was working. It was only on the weekends. So I came home one Saturday with the kids to discover she had left. Took almost everything she had and some of my stuff and left a whole extra room full of stuff. And she left some stuff, took the cushions of the couch and left the couches. I think she was coming back for more things, but me arriving, I foiled that, I believe, for the plan. So I'll update this at some point with what's going on. I basically started this channel I want to take you guys along the ride to see exactly what's happening with this. Um, because I haven't seen anybody that has been doing that on YouTube. And this is my first video. I might not edit it, but it is what it is. I'll probably get better at it. My public speaking teacher at my college said I was a great public speaker, but this is not one of those situations, especially when your mind is like reeling from a lot of stuff you've gone through, because you always like going back and forth to instances of, man, your train of thought is there, but these little thoughts as you're talking, and you understand it if you've been in the abuse. So to end this video, I'm just doing this to take you guys along for the ride, almost like a reality show. Yeah, that's what it is. And again, this is not for the faint at heart. It takes some guts, I think, to actually get on here and do this, and to open your life up to the world on some of the things that are unfortunate to a lot of people who become victims. And a man doesn't want to be deemed a victim, but you're human. You can always be victimized, and it's so subtle. It'll be a waste of time trying to convince the courts of this, but this is a footprint of my journey to what I'm going through with this situation. And 49 years old, I'll be 50 September of this year, and I'm feeling pretty good. So God willing, I'm going to continue to just fight the good fight. Don't frequent churches any longer. I do, however, get churched via internet. I won't tell you which church, but meeting her in a church didn't dissuade me from churches. I, in fact, came to a conclusion that a lot of churches that we were frequenting, because we used to do what you call secret church, undercover church hopping, like undercover boss like that, and just go in and we would just fellowship and to just see what their mission statement was, or I did, because I'm thinking me and her had the same mindset, but she mirrored everything about me. And as I look back, she never read the Bible. She never said grace. I asked her to say grace a few times throughout the 2 year, between the year of dating and the 1 year marriage. April 7th of this year was 1 year. She left before that anniversary. She left on the 24th or 26th of March. It was on a Friday. So anyway, I just never paid attention to the fact that she was like, I don't want to, I don't know how. And I always attribute it to being just, she just didn't know, adolescent. And of course, that's true. They're adolescent in their very existence. They never grew up. I never experienced this before, so I didn't know what to make out of it. And being an empath, you just feel sorry for people and you have mercy on them, I think. And I think I was making deals with the devil in my mind, saying, well, at least she's not like the other girls I was involved with. She's quiet, she's mellow, she's not really contentious, and those are the very things I began to incite her for being. At the end of this relationship, I called her contentious, evil, demonic, and a lot of other ugly things, which I was raging. And I think she was trying to draw me out to a point where I was going to either physically do something to her or lose my mind. And to which some of it worked, but it didn't accomplish her set goal. She wanted to destroy me and wanted to see me in jail, I guess, and be distant from my children, who I've worked so hard to obtain custody of. And God's been good to me in that respect. I share him with the mom. She's always got some stuff going on in the pot, stirring around too. So, you just never are done with some people, but it has nothing to do with you. So to end this video at 34 minutes, just check back with me or keep looking on YouTube for Mochismo Eugene, and I'll try to make more videos as I'm inspired. I don't know if they'll be once a week, once every day, once a month. Just however I'm compelled to do it, I'll do it. God bless.